I was a wimp. I was literally a wimp when I was a little kid. Like, I didn't like any confrontation at all. Couldn't really handle it. I don't know what it was, why I was just a bit of a softie, but a few years I did some ongoing just bullying, and they just target me whenever they see me. You can see they just got joy out of it.
I'm sure you didn't know.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Because when you're going through that young age, you're not realizing exactly what's happening.
That's Shane Mitchell. He's one of Australia's most dangerous men in the octagon with a 12-4 professional MMA record. In the cage, he's known for his savage knockout power. Not what anyone expected from a shy kid growing up without much confidence in Adelaide's northern suburbs.
Someone targeting me or trying to trigger me, I still had no confidence in it all.
You get that feeling.
Yeah, you get that butterflies, you get that sick feeling.
Shane's been a pro fighter since 2013, and now touching 30, he's still grinding to realise his dream of making it to the UFC.
Still constantly in contact with them. It's just getting that opportunity.
He's had to overcome more than his fair share of adversity on the hard road to becoming a champion. It's taught him what matters and what he needs to stay focused.
Yeah, sometimes you got to make some real tough calls and just push aside some people who they might mean a lot to you, but they're not good for you.
From the outside looking in, we only see the glory or failure in the end result, when years of work boils down to a moment that can be over in minutes and sometimes even seconds. But rarely do we get to see inside the heads of those who have what it takes to put themselves in the arena.
When I walk out, I'm telling myself I'm quicker, I'm more accurate than him, I'm going to be too big for him, I'm too strong for him.
As Rocky Balboa once said, it ain't about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Welcome to Young Blood, an award-winning podcast on a mission to make the mental health of young men a top priority. My name's Callum McPherson, I'm a journalist, and this is our platform to open up and share stories of what we've been through, because we're not alone. Let's do it. What was your younger life like growing up in the north?
I was actually quite very introverted. Definitely a bit rougher, going through primary school, growing up in the whole Paolawi area. It is rougher. I had issues, certainly being a quiet kid. I found once people know that, you somewhat get targeted a little bit more.
They try and push the buttons?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was a wimp. I was literally a wimp when I was a little kid.
Right. So people would confront you and you'd back down?
For sure. I didn't like any confrontation at all. Couldn't really handle it. I don't know what it was, why I was just a bit of a softie, but yeah. And it wasn't so my parents ended up pushing me into the combat sports, I think, just because I knew I was getting a little bit of trouble here and there.
Yeah. Can you remember any examples of?
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember plenty of examples. It's certain kids back in school, they end up working out that I was a softie and that they could easily trigger me.
Yeah.
And trigger me in a way of that I'd cry. I literally it wouldn't take a lot, and I'd be upset. I wasn't an angry type of reactions. It was they knew how to get me upset. A few years I did some ongoing just bullying, and they just target me whenever they see me. The typical like
you see in the movies, and that little
and
kid
more of them
who gets picked on.
Oh, they just you can see they just got
they
joy.
shove you in the locker and in the toilet. And
they just got joy out of it. You can see they just got joy out of it.
I'm sure you didn't know.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I look back now, it's weird because when you're going through that young age, you're not realizing exactly what's happening.
No, you're not conscious of the impact that's having on you.
And then now you look back now and you're just like, well, what a piece of shit that guy was.
Yeah. So how old were you when that was bad?
That was sort of my, what was it? If I remember, be around year 5, year 6 type of thing in primary school. Around that sort of that age, around that, and then as I started coming to my high school year, so year 8, 9, it drifted away a bit, but that's when I moved.
Okay.
So it wasn't until we moved house.
Yeah.
It started changing a lot.
So what was your confidence like through that time?
Yeah, I didn't have much at all. Definitely didn't have much at all. I was the type of dude I couldn't hug a girl without getting extremely nervous.
Couldn't look them in the eyes.
Yeah, stuff like that. I was quite that awkward kid.
Yeah.
Confidence as well. Same even with just playing sport. I was quite sporty, always good at sports, but I'd never be the type of guy who thought I'm the best.
Yeah.
I'm always
just not your personality.
No.
Did you aspire to that, or that wasn't you? So
I feel like it just wasn't me, but at the same time, that's just the confidence. There's always a little bit of doubt. and that. So I grew up playing football. Always a great football player. Like I end up going through all your development squads until you like play for Centrals and Port and stuff like that. But even then, like there's always a part of me that was just held me back a bit because of my own mind, I guess. Like,
so you'd overthink it.
Yeah. Well, I just thought I wasn't anywhere near as good as what I was. I always thought, these other guys are always a lot better than me.
Yeah. Where do you think that came from?
Honestly, got no idea.
Just being bullied at a young age.
Yeah, like that would definitely play a role. Like,
what did your parents used to say to you when they knew you were getting bullied?
We had one real bad incident one time. It was just at the local park around the house, and so my next door neighbor was like my best friend. We were up there. There's probably there was like 3 of us, and all these guys who like used to target me. They would roll around in big groups. There was like 10 of them. Yeah. This is back when we were all like just riding around on push bikes. They all rocked up. I was like, I knew straight away, like, here we go. Like, it's only a matter of time for something happens here. Yeah, they're straight on to me. They're like harassing me, and my neighbor, like just ran back to my house and told my dad. Right. So like dad ended up rocking up.
Came out with the bat.
Exactly what he did. Yeah. So he rocked up, and he got hold of one of the oldest, and I mean, I'm talking like I'm trying to think, year 5, year 6.
Yeah, so they're like 11, 12.
Yeah, like I'm the age. Some of these guys are like 17, right. 16, 17.
Yeah, okay.
Like their older brothers and stuff like that. Old boy got hold of the oldest one and made him march him around to all the houses.
All right.
And spoke to all the dads. Some of the dads were like pretty shitty attitudes. You could see why. Okay, that's why your son's like that. But no, some of them were good. Some of them like put their kid in line and that. But
so when he got hold of the older one, the other.
Oh, they all ran. So as soon as my dad rocked up, they just all they just split. They also all legged it, got on their bikes, rode home. Yeah. And that.
So what did he used to say to you about it?
My dad.
Yeah.
Nothing. Trying to think back there. Nothing I can really remember.
Like he wasn't like, you got to fight back.
Nah. I think he knew the situation of like how outnumbered I was in these scenarios, and I think he also knew like I wasn't an aggressive kid or anything like that. Then he just sort of pushed me into sports. Like I started off into like more karate and stuff like that. Started off with that as a real young age, then slowly went into like boxing, kickboxing, and stuff like that. But yeah, I think my dad is probably definitely like got me this far massive. Like as in my dad's been I just pushed me into the sports. Even when I was younger, like I got to the point where I hated training, hated going to all the just like karate lessons as a young one. Yeah. But the old man sort of he made me do it. And I look back now and I'm like, thank God.
Yeah. Was he a role model of yours?
Yeah, for sure. Like he's the hardest working guy I know. And that, like, yeah, that's for sure. Like I see myself, like I'm pretty hard working now in my sport. Like I dedicate everything to it. I'm very passionate, but like, I definitely say I get that from him because everything he does is exactly the same. Like just puts 100 into it. And he's the most helpful guy out there. Like anyone who knows him will know, like, if someone needs a favour, he's there.
Yeah, so that's the sort of man you want to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So was there a particular incident like the one you just mentioned where afterwards you started karate and it was full like Karate Kid?
Yeah. But even then, like, going back to the karate, like I think parents just pushed me into it just to start, something like that. Karate, I was actually caught onto it real quick. I caught onto karate like real quick.
When you were like 11, 12?
Yeah, it would have been literally at that age of when I'm starting getting the bullying, that was all happening.
Yeah.
I carried on through that I can't remember, but I carried on to that all the way up. Would have been quite a few years. I would have done that, I honestly don't know, easily 5+ years.
Yeah. And how long into that before you started to have a bit of confidence?
Even then, still not a massive amount. Still not a massive amount. Maybe in being able to hold myself in fights, that went up. Like the violence side of things. If guys, like, if I got in a punch on, I think nearly all of us males as a kid got in a fight at some age. I felt fine in that scenario. Yeah. But I still didn't have confidence with just everyday things.
Like within yourself.
Yeah. Or like I still got very nervous. Like if I could see someone targeting me or like trying to trigger me, I still had no confidence in it all. Like
you get that feeling.
Yeah, you get that butterflies, you get that sick feeling, and you get that real down, like, and you just dwell on it for ages. Like even after it happened, I still think of it for ages and ages, and sort of think like, why did he do that? Why me? Like why?
So it get on a loop in your head.
Like you realize now, like he's just a dick. and that. But back then you think like, what did I do wrong?
You think you're the problem.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Like, why? Like, I'm obviously doing something wrong for him to do that.
Yeah.
But now I look back and I'm like, nah, he was just a straight up dick.
Yeah. You can't reflect on it at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
'cause you don't have that self-confidence.
Yeah.
So how did you used to think your life was going to go? Did you want to go and be like a pro athlete, or did you think about that?
Nah, man, to be honest, I feel like school was not for me, that's for sure. I dropped out year 11, I think. Just got to a point where I just didn't want to be there anymore. Didn't really know what I was going to do. I was just sort of went into a trade. I thought that was sort of going to be it. But then and eventually I sort of like the fitness industry, got into like personal training, just did my courses and stuff like that.
Yep.
This is how I literally got into fighting, and then joined up to a gym to work from, which is CardioFlex. Just started working from the gym, not doing any like the fighting side of things, just general maintenance and bit of one-on-one PT stuff. But that gym happened to have the MMA classes, and then that's how I got into it. That's like,
it's like a movie, man.
Yeah, like cool. Sort of just because I was there.
And
so
you're still
much.
there now, aren't you?
Yeah. I've been there. Yeah, God, probably 10 years now.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
All right, when did you first go there?
It would have been about 2012, I reckon. 2012, 2011.
Yeah.
Maybe, around that.
Okay. So how old were you then?
18. Yeah.
Right.
18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you did karate for like 5 years when you were a kid.
Yeah.
What did you do after karate?
Had a bit of a gap where I just sort of played football.
Yeah.
Got very unfit as well, just because that was sort of like the more party year, so like that 16 to 18.
Okay. Yeah. So you got into that.
Yeah. So because all my friends wanted to go out drinking and stuff like that. So I had a few years there where it's just having fun.
Yeah.
Trying to go out a fair bit.
Yeah. Did you like yourself much during that time? Like, was that for you, or it was what it was?
Yeah, that was, to be honest, that's where I started becoming a little bit more confident. Like, I think that's just because going out and socializing a lot more. But all my friends were like quite confident people. I was still very quiet though.
Yeah.
I still even am till today. A lot of people, like, I'm that typical like introvert, but some people can see it as arrogance sometimes.
Right. Okay.
There are a lot of people who they meet me now and then they say, "Oh, like, to be honest, I thought you were just very arrogant," or like, I thought you didn't like me.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Nah, it's not like that at all. It's just I can be awkward."
Just the way you are.
Yeah. Just I won't really engage in a conversation unless I need to.
Yeah. Okay. How did your sort of combat skills progress?
A lot of guys coming in and out, like training, competing, and that made me think, like, God, I'd love to be able to do that. Just started training here and there. It was only like 2-3 sessions a week. Then all of a sudden it was like 5 sessions a week.
Yeah.
And just kept going and going and going.
And before that point, you'd been doing some boxing and
just a little bit, just
stuff.
a little bit here in the gym, but like nothing, I'd say, to like a competition level.
Yeah.
And that, just a little bit here and there, just for a bit of
Did
fun.
you like watching it?
Yeah, definitely like watching it. Yeah, that's for sure. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not like a big fanboy of it. Like, I don't really have any high level guys I follow massively or anyone I just like really admire.
Yeah.
And that, but 100% I follow it. Yeah.
Just run your own race.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that sort of the case with people who get to the professional level? They're not really obsessed with how other guys are going, other than, I guess, if it's in relation to themselves.
Yeah, I think so. Because
you don't want to be like, oh, that guy's the best if you're trying to do it, right?
Exactly. That's sort of what my thought is. It's like, I don't want, in my mind, thinking, these guys are way better than me.
Because you can't allow yourself to think that.
To me, I want to more think these guys are my competition.
Yeah.
And that. There's definitely good role models out there. Like, I'm a big fan, like George St. Pierre. I always think he's amazing, like, amazing fighter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think that's just because that's when I was growing up, right at the start of it, and he was the man.
Yeah, because there was that period of time where he was just unbeatable.
So, So there's still a few guys out there, I think, like, he's a legend. And that.
And you can admire them and study their skills, but there's not people currently fighting where you put them on a pedestal.
Nah, not really.
Yeah.
There's some great entertainers out there, but no one that I look at and think like, oh, he's way better than everyone else. Yeah.
So did someone come to you and say, hey, you should do MMA?
Yeah, it's pretty much my coach, like now, Craig Ike. In 2013, the very first fight that was like it was legalized in SA. So before that, MMA wasn't even legal. Then they finally legalized it, had the very first MMA event 2013.
So you came in at the right time.
Yeah, I came in literally on the very first show in SA.
So how long did it take to get to that point of deciding like, I'm interested in getting into MMA and then having an actual fight booked?
There's none. My coach just approached me being like, "Hey, there's like they're putting on an MMA show in like 10 weeks time. You want to go on it?"
Before you'd even like trained for that specifically,
like for a competition. Yeah, I was training a bit, so
Yeah.
and like sparring, interclub sparring with other guys. Well, a lot more Thai boxing, a lot more stand up. Like to be honest, would have had zero ground game on that. Like zero, very
Muay Thai type stuff.
Yeah. And coach just pretty much said, there's a comp coming up. Like it got legalized.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it? And I was young then, so I just said yes to everything there. That's where.
Okay.
Yeah, even at that young age, even with the sport, you're very delusional as to the levels to it. Yeah, so I was just like, all right, cool, let's go.
Okay.
Right,
So what didn't you know at that time?
The levels, the grappling, or even the striking though, like just like I said, the levels to the sport. It's very hard to explain.
But you thought you were pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think you're pretty good, but you don't. Yeah.
But only someone who truly knows the sport knows the difference between someone who's good and someone who's
massively
like A level.
Yeah. It's just like me now getting like some random comment to me on the street, just being like, "Oh, like you're the fighter guy," like, and then be like, "Oh yeah, I got in a few fights in my life. Like we should spar. Like if you need a sparring partner, let me know."
People actually say that to you?
Oh yeah, all the time.
And you're like, yeah, that's not the same thing. Bro.
yeah, that all the time.
You can try being my sparring partner. It might not end too well for you though. Like,
and then
it's ridiculous though, isn't it? How people think that. When from the outside looking in, fighting is one example, but other sports, if you were to walk up to any professional athlete, footy players, basketball players, whatever it is, be someone who'd be like, "Oh yeah, I used to play high school and like had a pretty good 3-point jump shot. I could, I could probably, score a few buckets on you." It's like, no, probably not.
It's actually amazing how like people's like, that's exactly what they think. And I would try and explain that to some people. Like I was like, "Oh man, it's just like any other sport. Like you got to actually train for it properly to be good at it."
Yeah. Because it's not just, although to the untrained eye, it might just look like two guys going hell for leather in a scrap. There's so much intricacy and detail to it.
Yeah, massively.
And you have to be the complete package as an athlete to be able to do it.
But it's both physical and the mental side of things. Like there's so much to the sport. Like I've grew up playing basketball, football. Oh man, I played cricket, baseball. Like even tried to soccer for a little bit. And like when we're fighting, like I find fighting is definitely one sport where there's so much small detail.
Like the most technical.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you got to be so composed as well. Like an error, like the consequence for an error is massive.
Yeah, like that can be it if you slip in any sort of way. And there's so many ways you can lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there's so much to have to watch at all times.
And the consequence can be quite brutal. Like,
well, it can be you getting knocked out. Or
I've had plenty of times where I've been like sparring. Well, not plenty of times. I've say twice in my career I've been dropped. And there are times where it's just like I've obviously made an error, but it's gone from like I'm standing up completely straight to then next thing like you don't even know, but I'm just like sideways on the floor.
Yeah, right.
My vision's just like side on here. And I'm just like, oh.
And you come to and you're like, I'm on the mat now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you don't even, there's that split second where I don't even know what happened. And then you go back and you're like, oh, that's just, you made an error.
And then you got to get up.
Yeah,
or were they times that you got knocked out?
When I just sort of got dropped, TKO'd.
So you had to get up?
Like
have you had times where you got dropped and you had?
I quickly shot up. Yeah. But this was the one in competition was my second fight for a bloke named Charles August. Dude had like, it was his 50th fight, but he had like 48 Thai fights, world titles. Okay. I took this on 2 weeks' notice.
Pretty big ask.
Yeah, like
so. How did the first fight go? Did you win the first fight?
I won the first one.
So you were going into the second. You're going into the second fight. Like I got this guy.
Yeah, well, exactly. I was going in thinking like I'm way better than what I am.
Yeah.
This dude's had like, they had like 48 Thai fights.
Yeah,
like,
and you're like, it's not gonna matter.
So I'm just like, I'll be as good as this guy, but like, you're so delusional as to the levels, and then so this dude dropped me in the second round.
So what was your coach doing, putting you in that fight? Was he trying to teach you a lesson or something?
To be honest, our coach is quite like, like exactly like he feels you're only going to get better from it.
Yeah.
But even back then, everyone was still so new to the sport, and like it was a stupid fight. Like anyone right now, like if I had a teammate who got offered that fight, I'd just be like, no, you're not doing it.
Because it can only end one way.
It's very, I don't think anyone expected me to win. And that, which is, even in my mind, that's a bad part as well. Like in my mind, I know I'm probably not going to win this. And that,
which is not how you should be getting in the cage.
100% not. But back then I don't know, because I didn't see it as a long-term career.
Yeah.
I'd have seen it as like you get in there and you just like you
fight whoever. To that point, you hadn't had it go badly.
No, not really. Like that, I'd never been knocked out or dropped or anything like that. on that scale. Nah. So you dropped me. I shot back up, and I was just covering up, I was just waiting. I was like, oh, here it comes. Like, he's just going to go to town on me. But the ref called it. Okay. In my mind, I'm like, oh, what the hell? Like, there was like late stoppage, early stoppage, sorry. Like, early stoppage, like, what are you doing? But then I went back and looked at the video. I was like, oh, man, like, nah, if that ref didn't jump in, like, he would have gone to town on me. Like,
it was over.
He would have put me fast asleep, I reckon.
Yeah, because when you get up after getting dropped, you're not exactly in the best frame of mind.
Yeah, no, you're not. And like, it's only when you get dropped and you shoot back up, you think like, oh yeah, it wasn't actually that bad. Yeah. But then you look at the video, you're like, oh, no. There's a split second there I was out.
Yeah.
Like,
because the adrenaline's going.
Yeah.
You trick yourself into thinking, because your body's in survival mode. So
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. From when you're in there to like when you look on the outside, like I said, when you look at the footage, so much different to when you're actually in there.
Yeah, that must trip you out.
Yeah.
Seeing that.
Yeah. Like being in there, thought I was fine. Look at the footage, like anyone else would be like, you were screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I look back on the footage now and be like, thank God they stopped that fight. Yeah.
So what did that do to your confidence after that? It was a bit of a wake up call.
That one, yeah, definitely for sure. But then I got a lot of praisal for that fight. Like that was a huge fight where like I got nothing but praisals just because I think no one expected me to win that fight. First round though,
well, they thought you were tough for going in there.
Yeah, and but then the first round I probably won the first, or I say I did win the first round, but I took him down.
Yeah,
he didn't have any ground game. On that, but I got a lot of just praise for taking the fight. People like, well, you're crazy for taking that fight. Even then, I'm sort of just still a bit like, I don't really know. Like I said, don't know the levels. I was like, to me, I thought it's not that big of a difference, but
it was though.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's what I look at. Like me now, I've had 18 pro fights. Like this dude's had like nearly 50. Like, like if I fought a guy who only had 2 fights, I'll be walking, but like, I'm about to kill this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
When
exactly.
You first start out.
Yeah. But no, I got a lot of praisal for that fight. It wasn't until my third fight. My next fight is where I lost. So I won my first one. I lost my next 2. Because the next fight I took on another dude from Perth. So I flew out to Perth and I took on a guy. He was probably like maybe 6-0, 7-0. Even then though, like I still thought it's not like it's only 6 fights. It's not a lot.
Yeah,
but it is.
You're the optimist.
Yeah, like. You're just so delusional back then. And then he submitted me, so he choked me in the first round, like maybe a minute and a half into the first round. Yeah. That one crushed me. I sort of thought, like, am I even that good at this? Like, or like, I just thought, oh, maybe like it's because I'm from little Adelaide. Like we don't have the resources, we don't have the skill here.
Right.
Like these bigger cities are going to have way better coaching and stuff like that. I'm like, man, are we just.
But that wasn't the case. You were just a punk.
Exactly. I was just taking on fights I shouldn't have been. I was just taking on these guys way too soon. And then it got to a point where I started to get a bit of structure going. I started like taking on like proper matchups and stuff like that. Then it started going more in my favor. Yeah, and then ever since there, I've been on a tear. Like I think, like I said, that happened. So like I said, had probably the 3 fights in 1 year. So it's like 2013. Had the 2 losses in 2013. What's it been? It's 2021 now. I've only had 2 losses since that.
Yeah. So that humbled you, and then sort of wised up and worked on the...
Yeah, and just become smarter. A lot smarter and like, start just thinking more on that rather than just doing and going. Like I said, like everyone thinks they're a hero when they fight. Everyone thinks they're an awesome fighter. Like, certainly males. Everyone, like, when they're new to it, they think they are the best.
Until they get dropped.
Yeah, it takes a few. But I guess a lot of people by then would have just quit. Whereas I sort of kept going.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think that's what we love about fighting and sports in general is the heart aspect of it, isn't it?
And I try and pass that back down to the guys coming up. It's just like there's always someone out there who can kick your ass. You just need to be smart about, like, certainly this sport. I think it's to do with any sport though. You need to be smart, building up all your attributes. Don't take on stuff too early on that. But it's very hard, like I said, with a lot of them you can tell it's just gone in one ear and out the other.
Because they haven't been humbled yet. Yeah. Sometimes the only way to learn is to experience it for yourself.
And we do see a lot come and go at the gym. Like they have that one fight. Every now and then they might have 2. But then if things don't go exactly how they want it, they quit.
And even sometimes in the UFC, you see a fighter who's been a great champion who then will have a bad loss and never really be the same afterwards as well.
A lot of some people like those don't do well with losses at all.
Because the mental aspect of it is just so key.
Yeah.
What was the rest of your life like when you were becoming a professional fighter and that became a huge priority in your life, what else was sort of going on around you?
Man, to be honest, once I became a pro fighter, things started changing a lot, as in there's so many people who just never give you the time of day that would start trying to give you the time of day and that. But yeah, like
they want something from you.
Yeah, or they just think like, all of a sudden they're trying to be your mate. I was sort of quite low key there because all I did was train. Yeah. Like I wasn't going out a lot. I was training a lot. I was trying to like more just focus on like, oh, like I love this. Like I want to be like the best. I like stop drinking, stop going out, stop partying.
Trying to not get choked out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but and then you'll come across someone you haven't seen in years who like you're like, oh yeah, like this guy he wouldn't even look at me in school or something like that.
Yeah,
they're just trying to act like that. You're like, we're awesome, mate. We've been mates our whole life. It's just like what? Like
it's a lot of that fake sort of stuff.
Yeah, you definitely get a lot of that,
especially like as hard as it was for you at school.
Yeah.
Do you ever have any of those guys that used to bully you? Did they ever know who you became?
Yeah, for sure. Like I've definitely come across them, and they're not. They definitely haven't spoken to me, but they're the type like they were just like we sort of make that eye contact.
Do you reckon they talked amongst themselves after they saw you had like you won like 12 pro fights and like maybe we should apologize to this guy?
Yeah, that would actually be very interesting. I'd love to know what's going on in their head, but I've come across someone and we've sort of just had that eye contact, and then they've just look away, and then like I think they might think because a lot of people think, oh, pro fighter, he's probably got anger issues.
Yeah,
he's probably gonna like. He's going to be aggressive. And I think that a lot of these guys see me and they're like, oh shit, like he's going to come beat the crap out of me. But I'm not. I don't ever hold grudges. Like I know exactly who they are, but there's at no point do I want to go to their level and be like, all right, time for some revenge.
No. Yeah. And because you know that's in that context, that's a low act.
Yeah, exactly.
And anyone who really knows how to fight knows the consequences of fighting as well.
Yeah. I have no interest in any of that stuff. And if anything, like they probably help me. They probably help me get to where I am.
And most of the time, people who want to crack on in the street or have a go at someone, they're dickheads who don't know what they're doing, and they're relying on whoever they're trying to turn into a victim doesn't know what they're doing either.
Yeah,
because
pretty much.
If you actually do, then you're not going to want to just fight some random. You know.
No, so I know quite a few guys now who can fight, like obviously just like fight professionally properly, and I find there's hardly any of them, next to none of them would encourage a street fight.
No.
And that, of course they're going to hold, like, they're going to defend themselves, but all of them, like I've seen gone out with some of my fight team before, and like small incidents that happen, and like we're all sitting there being like, only if this guy knew what he was getting himself into. But he's just so lucky that pro fighter right there just doesn't want a bar of it.
Yeah.
And that?
Yeah, and lucky that it's not a pro fighter who's only had his first fight and is still a hothead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's still definitely some hotheads in the industry, though. There is, like, it's just...
Well, you get those different personalities and different things work for different people.
Yeah.
But I suppose what you earn through all those years of hard work and knowing the effort that you've gone to and what you've had to put yourself through is that sense of calm and that self-confidence.
Yeah.
Where, you probably, if someone's off their rocker, like in the street now, or someone wants to say anything to you, those butterflies are probably pretty relaxed.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. Violence doesn't faze me too much anymore. It's a weird thing to say. It's just like...
Well, yeah, it couldn't. Yeah. It couldn't. I mean, you've been faced with a fair bit of it.
Yeah, exactly. So even like at work, working in the security industry, getting punches thrown at me, like I don't freak out too much.
We've had a lot of punches thrown at you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When you first started getting hit for real, what was that like to take that?
Oh, yeah. That's horrible. That's very hard to get used to.
Like hard?
Yeah, so because you're always flinching. Like you get hit and you're so used to like wanting to turn away. And like trying to, like in the fighting, you don't want to be turning away. Whereas usually in the street, like you get punched for that first thing you do is turn away. And trying to get used to that, trying to not flinch too much when you get hit, that was hard.
Did you used to be scared of it?
Yeah, for sure. Certainly when you're standing across with someone who I knew had better skill than me, and you're standing there, you're sparring with him, when you're training, and you know in your head, like, there's a higher chance that he's going to probably hit me more than I'm going to hit him. Yeah, 100%. You're like that there. You're just waiting for it, and you're quite nervous. Like even you're only training, but you're quite nervous just standing there and just like. You're trying to enter and work your thing, but at the same time, you're like, oh, I'm about to get hit.
Yeah. And at that point, you probably shouldn't be fighting that person unless it's just sparring.
But that's just sparring. I guess that's how you get better, though. Like, I guess you got to like eat a bit of dirt before you actually get better. Like,
yeah, for sure. So did you At what point did you think I could actually do this for real for a living?
I went away to Canberra. I can't remember the exact year, but I fought in an eliminator. So I fought like twice in one night. So it's like, so it's like a 4-man eliminators, 4 middleweights. Punch I versus a guy. There's two middleweights. There were 2 winners fought for, like that. So
and fighting twice in one night is absolutely ridiculous for anyone who doesn't know about fighting. The build up is months and months to have one fight.
Yeah.
So
you want to really hope you finish that fight without getting.
You want to finish that first one quickly.
Yeah.
So what happened that night?
Yeah, so that's probably I KO'd both. Ended up KO'ing both guys. First fight KO'd a dude in like the second round, very start of the second round, and then the last fight KO'd a guy in the first round, about a minute and a half in. But that was the first time where I sort of I don't know, I felt a bit calmer, wasn't too nervous, still 100% nervous, but it wasn't over the top where I got like tunnel vision and a full adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
But that was the first time where like just getting the 2 KOs in one night, I'm like, oh crap, like I can actually really put these guys away. That was the sort of eye opener of like, all right, like I definitely have what it takes to like really start putting these guys down and like not even just winning through, like, because a lot of time you win just through you break them. Like, they give up.
You wear them down.
Yeah, they wear up. But and this was like, okay, now I can like put these guys away with like just one shots and stuff like that.
What did that feel like for you to knock someone out the first time and then after that?
You surprise yourself. Like when it actually happens, you're sort of, because it just happens. Like,
does it feel good or is it kind of like scary?
It honestly, it feels good in the way of like winning, but you just in the competition way, you're like, yeah, sweet, because that would be awesome for like highlight reel, getting out there.
Yeah.
But 100%, you're sort of like still like looking down at him, thinking, like, oh, I hope he's all right.
Yeah, like because it's not like you're a malicious guy.
Nah,
and it's a sport, and you both know what you're getting yourself into.
So straight away, like the very first initial like thought is like, you celebrate, you're like, nice, like because you don't actually expect them. Like nearly all my knockouts haven't been like, all right, here you're getting knocked out. Like it's just happened in the exchange. Like boom, he's down. I'm like, oh, he's down, and that and you're like, oh yeah, like nice, like
it's kind of a shock to you.
I got the win. Like I got the win, and you sort of like go off and celebrate for maybe that 3 to 5 seconds, but then straight away you like look back like, oh, is he all right? Yeah, so you're still, like I said, there's no grudge in the fights. And that, like, I mean, they can be built up. There's 100% there's fights out there where you look in the UFC, like I'm sure, like guys who beat McGregor would have been loving it, and I'm pretty sure that no point they turn around and be like, oh, is McGregor all right?
No.
Yeah.
But that's all the game of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a bit more when you get a bit more into it.
Yeah.
But right now I'm like just when I'm all my regional fights where I've just fought other guys from Australia. Yeah, 100%. Even if I knocked them out, I still celebrate, but you're still sort of in your back of your mind, you're like, oh, I hope I didn't hurt him too much.
Because you've been that guy as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's an important part of it.
And you never want someone to get injured. You never want someone to like
not be able to fight
exactly.
again.
Yeah,
because you know what it means to them as it does to you. So there's that respect there as well.
Yeah.
So at that point, you knew, you can fight for real.
Yeah. After that, my confidence went up massively.
What year was that?
Oh, I can't remember, but I reckon that would have been around 2015 or 2016. I reckon.
Okay.
Would have been roughly around then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kept your training schedule the same after you had these like real notable moments. Did you have more and more people, hangers on, or people in your ear saying like?
Yeah, for sure. Like it definitely just the more your wins you get, the more sort of attention you get, the more media as well.
Yeah.
And that, like. I was pretty good at keeping composed and like, because there's quite a few people being like, oh, like UFC and stuff like that.
Because there's quite a bit of hype around that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that was like, some of that started happening early, but I was pretty good at, I was like, yeah, that would be amazing. That sounds good. And that did make me think, all right, like maybe we can look to start going to a major organization. But I was pretty good at being
grounded though.
Yeah. Or like, I knew like, it's too early and that like, I feel like the majors is like not a place to grow; it's a place to perform.
Yeah.
So I knew like even then, like some people were like, oh, UFC, and in my head I knew like, nah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Yeah. So you would try not to buy into your own hype too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you knew what it was like to get knocked out in your second fight after.
Yeah, for sure.
Being overconfident.
Sure. And I still think that even goes back to when I was a child, and there's still that tiny bit of the confidence there. Like I was never like 100% confident in my ability.
Like the doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think you need to have an element of doubt? Or do you try to go in the cage now with zero doubt?
Yeah, to be honest, I go in with zero doubt, but I respect him. I 100% know, like, this guy, like, I know the fight world now, and I know this guy definitely is capable of, like, winning. He's definitely capable of, he could hit me with that right punch and knock me out. I know that's 100% a possibility. But I now do walk in thinking, I will win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
So you've been at this for the best part of a decade now.
Yeah.
What's been the reality of actually keeping this dream alive?
To keep it alive.
Yeah, to be able to like pay the bills and stuff. Because people would assume that, oh, he's a pro fighter, so he gets 100K every fight.
Yeah, I wish. That'd be nice.
But you've had to work this whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, work, man. Like, it has been hard, like, trying to work pretty much full time and then have the competition on top. Certainly coming into fights, it's quite hard. Like, it's a sacrifice of going out. Like, I don't really get to go out and party or anything like that. Yeah. Like, but to be honest, I sort of drifted away from that because it's just nothing worse now than just having a hangover. Like, getting drunk, having a massive hangover. It takes me like a whole week to recover completely. Yeah, stuff like that. It just doesn't. You can't be with the clock ticking. You can't be losing weeks like that. Yeah. What's your schedule like though, work wise and everything? Work nights. I've always worked nights. So pretty much, when I very first sort of started the fighting, I was at first I was in the fitness industry, like in the gym, personal training. I canned that because it was very hard to train all these people during the day and then train myself. Yeah, always been in an environment that was hard. I went into security, started just bouncing, stuff like that. It was all night work. I'd work usually like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah. But yeah, my whole schedule would be wake up, eat. Because you got to get your sleep right. You got to get your 8 hours nutrition right. Like, if I don't get my 8, usually I'm pretty grumpy. I'm pretty grumpy. And that, like, it used to be wake up, train, have a few hours in between. It used to be like eating, you'd rest a bit, go train again, and then straight to work on that. Yeah. That's more common into fights. Like, training is definitely like ups and that. In when like sort of what you could call like an off season where there's no fights happening, might only train like once a day. But yeah, it's the same deal. Sort of like wake up, you might just be able to quickly do a few errands. You go to training. I'll be taking my work clothes, shower at the gym, straight to work, go to work, go home, sleep. Do it again. How have you gone with handling that mentally, like being that disciplined over all those years? Yeah, it has its ups and downs. So I'm pretty good with it, as in now a lot of my friends, because I've been doing it for so long, like a lot of my friends and that are in the same industry. So I still get my social time even while working nights and having a schedule like this. A lot of my friends are either from the gym or at my work. So I find like that's sort of kept me a bit sane. But it definitely has moments where I'm like, man, I'm just so over night work, sometimes you even get that point where like, certainly like right now when the whole COVID's going on, the uncertainty of what's happening with the fight game, like there's always that little party of like, man, like, am I missing out on a lot of other things in life because of this and that? Because it's a huge sacrifice, isn't it, to dedicate so much to that? Yeah, so I mean, it's everything. It's everything. Like, like everything you could think of, like a lot of friendships. Like I still got a lot of good friends out there, but I just don't get to see them. And that, like some of my best friends out there from high school, in my mind, they're still my best mates, but I don't get to see them. And that, I'm lucky to catch up with them maybe once every few months. And you still want it all to pay off. Yeah. And right now you just want at least the opportunity to be able to go and give it your best. Yeah, pretty much. You can't even get that. Yep. It's only right now during these times. Yeah. It's definitely plays on the mind a bit. So the past few years you've only had like 3 fights. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. It's been rough, real rough. Yeah. So what's that like, training constantly, having to keep making these sacrifices, but yet having in the back of your mind, well, is this even going to... Yeah, it does your head in. It definitely does. Like, I get, every time I go out, nearly every weekend when I'm at work or something, I come to someone, they straight away they ask, when's your next fight? Yeah. It's usually that would be the most common question, like, when are you fighting next? And even with sometimes just like, I don't know. And they'll be like, well, why not? You tell me. Like, yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't know. Like, I just can't get a matchup. Yeah. And they're like, well, like, and then you get these guys who are like, well, you need to fight more often. He's like, I'll fight you. You need to fight more often. It's not that you don't want to fight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, oh, thanks for that. Like, thanks for that information. Like, I can do lots of that. Because the only way for you to fight at your level is for there to be a pro event. Yeah. And in order to do that, there has to be the money there, and there has to be the people. The matchup as well. Like, certainly coming down from middleweight to welter, there's some great welters in there, but I have found it's very, very hard to get a matchup. Certainly now with like my 12 wins, like 11 finishes. It's very hard to get someone.
People don't want to fight you.
Yeah, there's been plenty who have like just sort of been like, nah, like they'll see what other options they get. Like there's been guys up there who've put out on their social medias like looking for a matchup for this guy.
Yeah.
And I've been like, okay, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But then they'll show a reply of like, we want to see what other options come through first. And I don't get it. Yeah. No.
So, you know, your own records sort of biting you in the arse a bit there.
Yeah, it does, but that's the game. That's the game.
Yeah, well, you weren't going to go out there and not win though, if you could.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Well, like, if they're not confident, like I wouldn't take a fight with someone who, if in my head straight away was like, he's going to fuck me up.
Yeah. You
Like,
wouldn't fight you.
Yeah. Like, yeah, that's the mentality I want to have. Yeah. But yeah, like, I feel like even in the fight world, like certainly because majority of my wins are from knockouts, like not many guys
It's intimidating.
Yeah, exactly. Not many people want to take on that. And if there's other options, of course they're going to take it. I'd be exactly the same. There was some dude out there who was like 15-0 and he's just knocked out 15 people, but then or you could fight this guy who's 10-3, but he like usually his fights just go to the decision. He's not that devastating.
Yeah, money's the same.
Yeah, money's the same. His opponents don't really get hurt.
Yeah.
Like,
because that single loss can be devastating for your reputation or for yourself mentally.
Yeah.
You know, to get knocked
certainly
out.
like right now, if you're in like that top 10, you're trying to go somewhere far. Like the loss is massive. And that loss is massive. I come off a loss like 3 fights ago, and that like huge, like it damaged.
And you hadn't had one for a while.
No, I hadn't had one in like probably 6 years.
Shit. Yeah.
And that. And that was the fight walking in. I think everyone expected me to win. I walked in confident, and that.
What happened in that one?
So that was the middleweight. So that's the weight class above what I am now. Man, the dude was just, he had his jiu-jitsu black belt. He was just a big, strong dude. He just like picked me up, put me on, like just he would have took me down like 4 times in a row. Like as in, did not let go of me once. Like picked me up, took me down. I stood up, I'm like, okay, that was like a lot different. Like as in, I sort of thought that doesn't usually happen.
Yeah.
And then he just did it again and again and again. And I'm like, oh my God, like what is happening here? And then he just grapple fucked me.
Yeah.
And that,
So did you need to work on that part of your game more?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I already knew like his jiu-jitsu black belt. He's been doing like grappling, and from where he got his black belt from was like, we knew he's going to be decent. He's going to be decent. He's not going to be a bum. I honestly just thought he wouldn't get me there. I just honestly thought, nah, he won't be able to take me down. But
because you weren't used to getting taken
down.
well,
you just look at him and he doesn't usually use much technique to take down. He uses raw power.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, he won't. But this dude, mind you, this dude was also like a powerlifter.
Okay.
And I just underestimated how strong this dude was.
Yeah. So humbled again. So I guess it is important to have those experiences though to grow from them as well.
And ever since that, like I was like, all right, because I was at middleweight. Ever since that, I'm like, oh, I'm staying at welter. No more middleweights. And that.
Did that rattle your confidence having that loss for the next one? Like, how did you approach the next one?
No, that was fine because the next one, that's there straight away. Like literally after that show on the mic, I'm like, all right, I'm got like no more middleweight for me. Going to welter. And that there straight away was just like these, because I already had a few fights beforehand where guys have got hold of me. I'm like, oh man, he's so strong. Like he's way bigger than me.
Yeah.
It's just the weight cutting. I wasn't cutting a lot of weight. But I was able to sort of create space and get the win. I'll just get the KO or something like that. Then this is the first one where I just couldn't get that space. I couldn't finish the guy. Like even there's a few times I did get the space. I like threw some hands, connected to the point where I'm thinking, yep, that'll be it. But nah, he just kept going. Yeah, he's just eating them and walking through them. Then that there straight away changed my whole career in the whole like, all right, going down a weight class. I'm going to do proper big weight cuts like these, because these other guys, like I'm talking to them after the fights, like the last few, and they're cutting like 10 kilos, like a week out and stuff like that. I was like, I need to start doing that.
So what were those camps? What have those camps been like for you cutting that kind of weight? Because it's incredibly brutal. Yeah, brutal. Like as the camp itself, not too bad. Like if you do the diet right, but then the weight cut, because I do it through a salt bath. So I did about 7 kilo on the day. So how does that happen?
Sit in a bath, so pretty much like you got to weigh in. So you weigh in, say at 6 o'clock at night. I'll probably get up in the morning, start running a bath. You use like Epsom salt. You have the bath pretty much as hot as you can bear. Sit in there. You feel your body start sweating like hell. You're in there for maybe 15 minutes. Jump out. You're wrapping towels, and you just feel yourself sweating because. So
not the sauna.
No, I don't like the sauna because I don't really like my head. I like the bath, having my head out of the steam.
Okay.
It's still horrible.
Yeah.
It's still like the worst time of my life.
And you're doing that like all day.
Yeah, pretty much until you hit the weight. And until you get the weight. My last one was quite bad. Turnaround was fine, but the weight cut itself, so that last kilo, like just you're exhausted. Like it's trying to stay awake. It's very difficult.
And this is just before you have to be at your best. Like.
Yeah, so this is you weigh in, and then you got about 24 hours.
Yeah.
So you're weighing, say I'm fighting Saturday night, you weigh in Friday night.
Yeah. So you can get a lot bigger before you actually
get
back.
Oh yeah, I put on nearly 10 kilo
in the day.
Yeah, like I put on like it'd be about 9. I would have walked in probably like that around that 9 kilo heavier than what I weigh in at. Yeah.
And most guys are doing that.
Your high level, like maybe not that. That's a pretty big one. So in my height, like there's not many welters that are 6'1", and I'm 6'1". Most welters are probably like 5'10". Like I'll say on average around that 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah, so they're a bit stockier.
So yeah, they're a bit just. Well, even then, like just the weight cut. So I found like even walking in as a welterweight, I'm not even like a skinnier one either.
Yeah.
So it was just so much better. So much better in the when you're fighting, you sort of clash and you got that body on body and that like just the weight of each other. Some of the middleweights, I'm like, whoa,
they're way
like this
bigger.
guy, this guy's huge.
Yeah.
And that, whereas as soon as I went to welter, I was like, oh wow, this is so much better. Yeah.
What's been the hardest thing about it all for you mentally?
In the fight in general,
like in the preparation, in managing your own life around it all.
That
the hardest aspect of all your lifestyle.
It's just the composure. It's literally just the mind, like staying composed, not freaking out, because you're coming across you're getting matched up against some dude like 10 weeks out maybe, and for this whole 10 weeks, this guy's busting his ass simply to beat you up.
Yeah.
When you get in a fight on the street or something like that, and it just happens like it's just element of surprise, and it's just boom, go, you're fighting. You're in the zone, like you're not really thinking about it. When you're 10 weeks out,
all you're doing is thinking about it.
And like you can't help it because you're going to training like every single day. You're going to training, and when you're at training, you know exactly why you're training. You're training to fight this guy in like 10 weeks time.
Yeah,
and then it's like 9 weeks, 8 weeks, 7 weeks, and that. And you're pretty much just trying to not overthink it, like. You know exactly like this guy is going to come in and try and rip your head off. They're like you're studying their game. You're looking at some of their fights and stuff like that, and like you might even be looking at fights where he knocks someone out, something like that. And you're like,
so you're obsessing over it.
Yeah, exactly. But like at the same time, you got to study it, but you got to not get too invested in how good he is.
No.
Yeah. All right.
Because you've got to be the best, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas that's the biggest thing is trying to make sure. Yeah, exactly. Like. You keep in your mind like you're the better one. Like you'll be like, I'm better than him.
So have you really had to hone that over your career? Like, and also being able to flip that switch, because I imagine you have to be able to be an animal to go in there. Because if you go in there and the other guy's a killer and you're not, like you can't flip that switch, then it just can't end well for you.
Yeah. No, I've found it's only been the last maybe 5 fights where I started getting a lot more the better. Yeah, I said this, like composure, that better composure, and like just being able to like keep your nerves like calm, like steady, not freak. Because there's so many times like in those early fights you go in and you're just so tense, so tense, and that.
And fighting wise, you're better if you lose.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be like real relaxed, and like you got to trust that you're trying to you exchange punches, and you're in your head like when you're really nervous, you're thinking, I want to knock him out with every single punch I throw. Yeah. And that, which it doesn't happen that easily.
And then you end up like leaving yourself open.
Yeah, exactly. Leave something or you gas out. Okay. And now I've sort of started being able to compose myself to the point where, like just be patient. Like,
wait for it.
Yeah, wait for it. It'll just happen. It just happens.
But you have to earn that through experience. Yeah. There's no way to start off like that.
Like if you can start off like that, that's a good gift to have. Real good gift to have. Yeah. Because I feel like if someone walks into a fight and they're not mega nervous, like you've got something wrong with you.
Yeah, which could also work.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the guys you see, like they got something to be wrong with them. Some of the Eastern European dudes, I'm like, oh man, you look into their eyes, they're just black. You're like, fuck, fighting that guy.
I think the ones the environments they grew up in are probably pretty crazy. And to them, a fight in a cage is absolutely nothing.
Khabib, who grew up wrestling bears, like his dad, it's just completely ridiculous.
Man, that would be scary. Some of those there's countries that have just been around war the whole time. They probably they probably lost a lot of loved ones and friends and family. They're constantly fighting and stuff like that. Yeah. I feel like
they're like bred that way.
Exactly.
Because you're obviously a pretty nice guy, and like you said, you've never been this like hot-headed, aggressive dude. You're quite the opposite.
Yeah.
And you can still go there.
Yeah.
But you're not like some of these people would be in that's how they've been bred to like be this thing. So it's just
Well,
interesting that there's like, you know, there's different ways to skin a cat, but I think people would assume like you have to be like some hectic.
Oh yeah. Everyone when they like, or say they don't know me, but like they know of me, but they've never met me, think straight away he's going to be hot-headed, he's going to be aggressive, he's going to have like he'll flip out over anything. That's what they think, but nah, it's not. Like it's nearly impossible to trigger me, like get me angry now. Like you have to, I don't know, like you have to do something real like specific to get me angry now. I find there's not many times where I'm not an angry guy because whole violence and stuff like that just doesn't faze me anymore.
Yeah. So UFC champion Israel Adesanya, before he gets when he gets in the cage, he famously says, "I'm prepared to die," and you can see him like speaking it out loud. You relate to that?
See, no, I probably have never gotten to that point where I've needed to tell myself I'm prepared to die. But I feel like...
do you think that's a show thing, or do you think
100%,
that's...
100%, that's him obviously trying to just like get his head in the zone, like trying to just get in your own head. But 100% I do that as I'm walking out to the fight. He might have said the quote like, "I'm prepared to die." Like, I like
a mantra sort of thing.
Yeah, it is like always like when I walk out, I'm telling myself I'm quicker, I'm more accurate than him. I'm going to be too big for him. I'm too strong for him. Yeah, it's just the hype.
Because you have to believe it.
Yeah. And like that's what gets the win. Certainly coming into those later rounds, you're gassed, you're tired. Your mental is exactly what gets you into those, gets you through those later rounds.
And how do you flip that switch off? Because I can't imagine the adrenaline rush and the hype of going in there and the build up, and then winning or losing, and then being able to like go back to just being chill. Yeah,
like it's just talking to yourself, man. Like even when in the fight, I'm in my head, I'm just talking to myself in my head. Like last fight, for example, very first exchange, like took a while to sort of like work my way in and get to a point where like I feel comfortable to throw here. I remember throwing the very first combination, and it was going back to the whole, all right, I'm trying to rip his head off. Mid combo, I'm telling myself like, no, calm down, like ease up, like relax.
Because that's what you would have done in the past. Yeah.
Whereas usually like you don't even talk to yourself. You just stay like real like stiff and you just throw and heavy. You're just trying to rip this guy's head off, and then you get through the first round, you're back in the corner and you're absolutely gassed. You can't even understand what your coach is saying because you're that tired.
Yeah.
And that.
It's interesting to think that yourself and most fighters are probably having that inner monologue with themselves as they're fighting, and like there's another person in my own head. There's another person there that's the task to defeat them, but it's just you and yourself sort of battling mentally to work 100%. It out.
Even like if I'm like standing there, we're fighting and he sinks one through, like just like I don't know, just gives me a good one, like whack, like I feel. I'm not like, oh, you prick. Like if anything,
you're
I'm
talking
like,
to yourself.
Yeah,
I'll be,
if anything, I'm like, oh, nice. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, fuck, nice. He sung that one in. I'm like, all right, now what can I do to make sure I don't get hit with that again?
Yeah, so it's not even about them.
No, it's not. It's all about you. Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's like,
because I think people would think that as well. They'd think like he's just thinking like, I'm gonna fuck this guy
exactly.
up,
Nah. So I'm focusing on my own game on that. Like trying to read his game, but just trying to like get around his game. Like focusing on me. Yeah, if he cracks me at no point, I'm like, oh, I got to get you back now. Nah. If anything, I'm like, oh, like what'd he do? Like now, how can I counter that? And that, I like try and pick up a pattern. I'm like, okay, he hit me with that jab. I'm like, he's thrown that jab a few times now.
Yeah, it's just
like,
this big,
I'm like, all right,
chest game.
Yeah, I'm going to try and bait him to throw it again. I'm going to counter it this time. Yeah. So
cool.
it's so exactly, it is a big chess game. Yeah.
Through all your experiences that you've had, what have you learned that takes away from your focus?
Right now, just the mess the world's in, the COVID stuff, that was definitely, it definitely gets to the point where like, certainly now when like lockdowns and stuff are happening and you think like, oh yeah, we're getting better. And then all of a sudden it starts going backwards. That there can sometimes be like, man, like I've only got like this time. Time's so important here.
Yeah.
And then, it gets to the point where it's just like, your motivation just drops hard because you're like, man, I can't even compete. My manager's based over in America. And like he was even saying like it's nearly impossible for me to go compete like internationally. If it wasn't for COVID, you probably could. And that there just straight away you're like, fuck man.
Yeah, because there are things beyond your control.
Yeah, exactly. And like because that's the exact thing. Like when it's in your control, I've got nothing but myself to blame. And
you're good with that because you're happy to make the improvements.
But when it's not in your control like this, it's just like it's frustrating. It's very frustrating, and your motivation definitely goes up and down. Even like after my last fight, and then I had a few weeks off talking to my manager and stuff like that. and then just the whole international side of things, just like it doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon. Your motivation,
because you're still thinking UFC potentially in the back of your mind.
Yeah, 100%. That's definitely
that's
the
a goal.
Like, yeah, we've already had contact from him like a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
still constantly in contact with him. It's just getting that opportunity. Like, realistically, I need him to come back to Australia.
Yeah,
because with the visas and stuff like that, it's not the normal visa. You're obviously making money, so.
But with COVID and everything aside, you reckon you could be ready to make that jump?
Yeah,
now?
for sure, for 100%. Yeah, I feel like I'm ready, definitely.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just.
And you're 29, you're in your prime.
Yeah, exactly.
And that window, you're all too aware is going to close.
Yeah, because that is the crap thing. Like, I feel like time goes so quick as well, like so quick. And then during these times, it's hard, and it's just that part of yours, man. Like, man, where I really hope this clears up, but. Like I said, you got no control.
So how are you able to keep pushing yourself and put that aside?
Usually just my friends and team, family and stuff like that. Like my housemate is also another pro fighter. He's on my case. Like, if I don't go to training, he'll drill me, and that helps massively. And that, like, if I don't go to training, he'll just call me lazy. And it's like, that's really good. And even just same with the team, like the coaches and stuff like that. Like, if I sort of don't, like, if you had that session where you decide you just didn't go, and that, he'd message you. He'd message you, be like, Eric, what's wrong? Everything all right? Type of thing.
Yeah. So it's not just you. Even though it's just you in the cage, you got a team.
Yeah. You got a team. They all like sort of keep the hype going and stuff like that. You have your like I said, you have your ups and downs, or sometimes your motivation would dip, but then it'll ride back up. Like, so I think any human's like that, as in
motivation is not going to be consistent, but habit and true passion means you just keep showing up.
Well, I think that's the big difference. Though, is a lot of people, like, they lose motivation, they quit. They're the ones who don't really go far. It's the ones, like, even when you have zero motivation, you just got to still do it.
You just got to show up.
That's just what we keep doing.
That's how champions are made. And I think that's ultimately, whether we realize it or not, as fans of sport, that's what we respect.
Yeah.
And even outside of a sport context, whether it's work or people who contribute to the community, it's people who, when they don't want to do it, when the motivation's not at a high, and it would be so much easier to quit or not rock up, that you don't quit.
And I think that's everything in life. Like any job, or like certainly like sports or anything competitive, or like, is like exactly like, so even with someone trying to get promoted in a job, and they feel like they're trying to work their way up. Like, everyone wants to make more money, or everyone wants to grow, and that. And I feel like, people like start working their way up, and they get to the point where they're so close, but they're not getting it yet. And then they're like, I put in so much and I'm not getting any reward. And they start like dropping back down. And they're the ones that like, you're like, nah, just keep going. They'll eventually get it. But then you get some of those who just drop back down and they just lose their passion.
And that's the majority. And sports are a metaphor for life. Yeah. But there's levels to it. There's levels to people who say, oh yeah, like, I'm working as hard as I can, or I'm passionate. Yeah. And then you embody what that truly means, because someone says, I'm pretty passionate about it. Like, how passionate about it are you?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's very easy to be passionate when you, like I said, your motivation.
When it's going well.
Yeah, exactly. Your motivation is so high.
I would argue that that's not even passion then.
Exactly. Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
Because you find out how bad you really want it when the chips are down and they stay down.
Yeah. I think that's just one of the most important parts, is when, like, just everything seems to be going to shit. Is like, and you just keep going. That's what makes people different. Like, I think any world champ out there, you speak to them, they've had some point where in life things just to them just felt like everything was going downhill, but they just kept going. And
that's always the common consistency, that you just keep on fighting through it. Yeah, and that's what makes people great. Yeah. So, how do you define your success now? Or how do you define success? Or what is success to you?
I think, like, I'm the type of person who I will never feel like I'm at the point where I'm like, yes, I've done it, I can now rest. And that I always just look to go further and further and further. And I think right there, that success is just as long as, like, is you yourself, how much work you put into something. Like, exactly how we're just talking about then, the motivation side of things, of like, success to me is like when you can look back through a hard time and you're like, I just powered through that hard time, and I still kept growing even through a hard time. I feel like that's like a great success right there. Like,
character.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Just knowing that you just didn't give up, like you just didn't give up during something rough. You know? I feel like that's a great success.
Do you feel like with that mentality, you can sort of leave it at whatever will be results wise? Because if you know you at least gave it your all, then you can live with yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like no matter the outcome, like even certainly in the sports, certainly in the fight world, like sometimes you can be the better fighter, but you can lose. Like there's 100% that roll of the dice right there in fights. Like sometimes I know some great fighters out there who like, even on the regional right now, I know would probably wipe a lot of the UFC boys, but they're probably just not getting the opportunity because they've had some unlucky fights with they've lost. Whereas you could have that fight, you could roll that fight 10 times and they will win 9 times, but that one time happened.
Everyone has a bad day.
Yeah. And and that guy is 100% better than nearly everyone on the circuit, but you look at his record and it doesn't look like it. But simply because of his luck. It was luck. Like as in, you could you play those fights again, he'll beat you 10 like 9 out of those 10 times.
Yeah, and luck swings both ways. Yeah. You get a bit of it sometimes or not.
I'm gonna say, so I feel like just like how far you, certainly like say the fighting world of sports industry, like how far you go, like whether you become a UFC champion or not, that doesn't determine if you're like massively successful. Like that looks successful from the outside, but I think as a person, like I said, your biggest success is like what we were just saying there is like knowing you put your all in, you went out there, you just did what you wanted to do. Yeah, you should feel good. And like it feels crap to lose, but if you put all your work in and stuff like that, whether you win or lose, you're gonna feel good. Like certainly in the future, I feel like once you're an old man, you look back and like, oh yeah, I'd put in everything. Yeah, that'll feel good.
Yeah.
Whereas if you think back about, man, I cut so many corners, then you're like, feel pretty shit.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, if you do fall short of your MMA goals, are you still going to be able to feel like you're the man you wanted to be?
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like I already know after my run's done, I'm going to go into coaching. I like the coaching side of things. I want to open up my own academy and stuff like that. So it'll continue on. Even once my career is over, that's not the end. And that's part of this success as well, is I feel like a lot of my success is still to come by building up other people. I get a joy.
And a lot of your success is owed to other people, so you want to repay the favor as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm coaching now, like advanced striking out of ISO Health, and it's even teaching those lads. Like it's great. Like it feels awesome. And I think
that's transcendence. Once you master a skill and then you get to the point where you pass it on to others.
Yeah. And I think that's still yet to come. That's just my next chapter in life, which I've already got lined up.
Yeah.
It hasn't started yet, like as in the full potential. But I already know once my competitive career is done, I will go into coaching and there'll be a whole nother road to success.
Yeah, it's still got a long time to go, but hopefully before your fighting days are done, though. I just hope you get a crack at it.
Yeah, same here. I think we're on the right path, and if we just keep doing what we're doing, we keep like just pushing, we're constantly growing, we'll get there. And that. Yeah.
So from a shy kid who used to get beat up and had no confidence to an absolute weapon of a man now, how's that warrior's mentality changed you as a man and it shaped you?
Yeah, it's actually... Yeah, like it feels great now, like looking back at my childhood, seeing where I was and where I've come to. I feel like I'm very proud of, certainly my mind, like that, like how much my mind has grown. One of the things I'm very proud of is the way I think now. I just try and think like positive about absolutely everything. And that, as in, there's a lot of negative stuff in the past. Now everything's just to do with positivity. Anything that's not positive is just chucked aside. I look back now and just think how it sort of changed that mindset from being quite negative and that to now everything's quite positive. I feel like that's a great achievement.
What's been key to being able to change that?
Surroundings, definitely, like the people around you, and like you find out who's like, okay, you're probably not the best for, like, if I want to be successful, I want to sort of drift away from him, push him aside, like that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh yeah, this guy's got great goals, great motivation, like he's got great, like his morals are really good. Cool. I'm going to start hanging out with this guy more.
Yeah. So surrounding yourself with the right people and being the right person yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it's hard. Like sometimes there's people in your life who like you've grew up with and they're quite like,
you feel like you owe them something, but
but really they're not even good for you. They're not good for you, and you do have to, like, it's hard for a lot of people, certainly for like family or like loved ones and that. Sometimes you do have to, like, if you want to go far, like you got to push them aside. As sometimes horrible as that sounds, of like pushing your own friends and family aside, like, but in reality, sometimes they're the ones who bring you down. Yeah, sometimes you got to make some real tough calls and like just push aside some people who like they might mean a lot to you, but they're not good for you. Yeah, so just that toxic. That's the bad thing. Is sometimes like some toxic people can be addictive. Like some people can love hanging around like someone who's toxic, and like it's trying to actually realize
you can't afford to have any of that. In your life.
Yeah, and you see a lot. Like I know, I think we all know someone out there who is caught up around toxic people, and you can see the damage it's doing to them, but they don't want to believe it. Yeah, it's trying to realize, like, you're trying to recognize that for yourself.
Yeah, and know that it will flow into you and it will affect you and what you want to do.
I think nearly everyone out there has a friend who's like certainly relationships are a big thing. It's nothing to do with MMA, but like how many people in a toxic relationship where like they can just see their friend who's miserable and like
it's bringing them down.
Yeah, bringing them down. They're like their job's going to shit, like their health's going to shit, stuff like that. Their friends and family are starting to like I don't know, lose interest, as in they're getting pissed off at them and stuff like that. And they're so caught up in this one toxic person who they're losing everything for them. Like it's trying to get rid of stuff like that.
Yeah, or a toxic habit, like you know, behavior can be that as well.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Doing something you shouldn't be doing.
And there's a lot of levels to that as well, for that little minor things to anything huge like a gambling problem or like alcohol, stuff like that. Obviously they're like very like easy. You'd think most people would be able to recognize that and just be like, all right, I'm going to stop doing drugs. Like drugs are pretty bad. Like probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah,
but
it's not that simple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it's exactly. That's what I mean. Like when you get too caught up in something toxic, it's very hard for some people just to. But like I'm quitting. I go cold turkey on that. It's very hard. Yeah.
So stay in the gym.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I found just over the years, like, it took a long time, but so over the years, I just started like just picking out the people who were like really good for me and stuff like that, the good environments and stuff like that. And then so that's built up my character massively.
Cool, man. Well, thanks so much for your time and coming to chat to me on the podcast. And it's so interesting to hear about your journey. And
thank you.
You are an inspiring individual just because your heart that you've shown and the attitude that you've got, sticking out this over all this time, and still working nights, and
I mean, hopefully I don't have to do that for much longer.
waiting for your shot and fighting through it and getting back up when you get knocked down. And I just hope you get a proper crack at it soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
That's it for this episode. If you're getting some value out of the show, please help us out with a quick rate and review on Apple Podcasts. All our podcasts are recorded in video, so follow Youngblood Men's Health Matters on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Youngblood Media, to get the full picture. And please leave us a comment if anything resonates. We love hearing from you. You're more than welcome to join our inner circle by signing up for our e-news through our website, youngbloodmedia.com.au. And most importantly, please share this podcast with anyone in your life who might need it. We're all about reaching as many people as we can. A special thank you to our sponsors and our local business supporters who back the work we're doing. We're all in this together and we need all the help we can get. Until next time, this is Youngblood. Thanks for being part of the mission.